From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Later on today's show, we will learn more about SEMO's new game development degree with Chou. The degree is designed for students passionate about joining the video game industry. But first, if you've seen the movie Jurassic Park, there is a sequence where paleontologists are using brushes to remove dirt to reveal the bones of a dinosaur. Well, SEMO students have been doing the exact same thing in Montana. I'm joined by Pamela Mills from SEMO's Department of Chemistry and Physics and Andrew Sweeten, a senior at SEMO, to learn more about their Jurassic adventures. And they brought bones to show us and everything.
We did.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So Pamela, start out, if you would, tell us about PaleoX and this trip that you all take every summer.
Well, several years ago, I started going to Montana with PaleoX Adventure 360, and I would bring back some fossils, and my students got very excited about it and asked, is there any way that they could go also? So through working with PaleoX, and I do want to give a shout out to them and thank them very much for their investment in SEMO students, because they have invested a lot of time and energy in students here at Southeast. And I started taking students in 2019, and we've gone every year since, except for, of course, 2020, which we don't want to talk about. Yeah. So this will be our sixth year this summer going back to Montana. I have 15 going this summer and 5 on the wait list. So
very popular,
very exciting.
Trip, yeah. Mm-hmm. Andrew, you've been before.
Yes.
You're going again. So tell us, what's the experience like?
It's so much fun. You go out every morning, take like an hour drive into just the middle of nowhere almost. Yeah. It's just driving through fields. Then you're just out there walking around looking for different bones through different buttes, just walking around in the middle of nowhere, middle of Montana. Yeah.
Yeah. Has to be, and early days, long days, I think you told me.
Long days. It's like it starts early. We don't get back into the motel until about 5 o'clock in the evening. They have a short amount of time to shower, eat, and then we do evening presentations on the veranda. So it's a full day every day, and it's not a vacation. I say that all the time, and Andrew will correct me because he loves it so much. He thinks it's a vacation, but it's a field school. They are taught, correct techniques in the field. Yeah. They're paleontologists for the whole entire week. Whatever you leave the vehicle with in the morning, you have your water, your food for the day. Yeah. And it's sometimes very hot, 105, I think, one day when we were out there, and you're out all day. But a lot of learning goes on, and I could tell you that all day long. But the fact that I have students that want to go back year after year really attests to the amount of learning that goes on while we're there.
And you told me there's a lot of behind the scenes that goes into this. It's on federal land. There has to be permission to go. Kind of talk about just where you go and what that means. And
so we go to Jordan, Montana, which is the home of the first T-Rex ever. And so the PaleoX crew, they're out there for several weeks every summer. We just take up one of their weeks. The SEMO will take a full field school week of their time, but they will go out in advance and get all of the permits. They build relationships with the ranchers so that we're allowed to drive across their property. We stay on federal land the whole time. That's one reason why I like PaleoX. I feel like they do things right. They follow, they teach, and I help teach the students the correct techniques to use in the field. And everything that we have is on loan to us from, the federal government for teaching purposes. And I do use it for outreach and things like that. And that's why they let us have it here, and the students work on it in the geoscience lab here on campus. And so it doesn't stop in Montana. Yeah. Andrew will tell you he's been in the geoscience lab all year long cleaning some of the fossils that you see here, but a lot of the fossils that are back on campus, he's worked there. Some of them are too big to bring. So.
Well, talk about what you brought here. And
so I have here, this is a T-Rex tooth. I'm part of the T-Rex Club because I did find this. Most of the students, the bones that we have on campus were found by SEMO students, but every once in a while I do get to find something really, really cool. So you can actually see how it's still serrated. It was a weird moment for me to take this back to the motel, and then you clean it off with a toothbrush. I caught myself thinking, I'm literally brushing the T-Rex tooth, but knowing that, it's almost 70 million years old, and I was the first person ever to have seen that, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. But we have frill from Triceratops, where you can still see the veins and stuff running through the actual frill. We think most of the bones we find are Triceratops, because we stay in, it's called the Hell Creek Formation. It's the late Cretaceous, so it's right before the impact event where the asteroid landed and would have caused the non-avian dinosaurs to go extinct. So we're staying in the rock strata that would make all of the bones a little bit, they're not quite 70 million years old, probably 67 million years old, but we think this is the vertebrae from a Triceratops. This is the brow horn from a Triceratops, and we have a few really beautiful brow horns that are on display in McGill. We have a glass case that we keep them on display now there, and I'll let him tell you why we think this is a T-Rex bone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we believe that this is a T-Rex bone for a couple of main reasons. One reason is that it's hollow. Okay. T-Rex bones were believed to be hollow as they are moving evolutionary to birds. Birds have hollow bones, and so most theropod dinosaurs had hollow bones. And then another thing is layering. T-Rex bones had multiple layers to add for strength. Since they were hollow, they were weaker bones, so they had multiple enamel layers to make it stronger and be able to support their weight.
Pretty interesting. So you've been in the lab cleaning. What's that? Is it a very tedious process? You have to be really careful.
Sometimes. A lot of the bones we have, they're in multiple pieces, a lot of multiple pieces. So you have to clean the pieces off, clean the dirt that's in the cracks between the different pieces. Okay. Then we take glue and a certain type of glue, paleo bond, that then we're able to use to glue the bones back together into the correct shape they're supposed to be, and finding that correct shape sometimes is very difficult, especially when they're in tiny fragments.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of just cleaning dirt off of bones and then gluing them back together.
And you have all different students that come. It's not just always a science major, right?
No, the majority of the students that go to Montana are probably biology majors. I would think the majority are probably wildlife biology, like Andrew, environmental science. Students that are taking physical geology, and then they see the bones and they want to go. So the majority of the students are students that have had my class and then want to sign up for it. But I've had mass media majors go, I've had music majors go. Anybody that goes to SEMO is welcome to go. We will make sure we train them in the Badlands about what they need to know to be out there.
So talk about some of there's a lot of educational components to this beyond just going out. And, the evening and the paleontologists that talk about what comes on.
One of the things that I like about going with the group that we go with, PaleoX, is that they do have so many qualified people that are out there with us. You get to spend the week with, people with their PhDs in paleontology, which we don't have a paleontology program here, but they still get to work directly with those people in the field. And if you pick up a bone and you're not sure what it is, right away you have an expert that's going to be able to tell you what you're seeing in the Badlands. And one year I was out, there were 5 trained people with advanced degrees in paleontology right beside you. That's amazing when you have 15 students and 5 experts. That's a pretty good ratio that they're going to be able to tell you what you're seeing out in the field. But Andrew talked about them. Part of it is they walk along until they find a bone. We train them on how to tell the difference between a bone and just a rock. And then part of it is actually excavating. They're taught how, because you have to be careful. When you're digging the bones out of the ground, you want to be careful not to destroy something that you have found. Just like when I found the T-Rex tooth, you didn't know, is it attached to the whole T-Rex? Do we have to go slow? I mean, that would have been amazing had I found the whole T-Rex that day. But so we just, are very careful about pedestaling the fossils. And then
what does that mean?
Pedestal, we want to dig around and underneath the fossil so that we can jacket the fossil and get it out. So I feel like there's 3 big things that they're trained on in the field. They're trained on just how to find the fossils, what to look for, whether there's float coming down the side of a butte. You know, it's just that we just talk to them about what you're looking for, and then once something is found, then they're taught how to excavate it, how to dig it out. And then after, you know, we've done that, then they're taught how to jacket them in the field. And I think I provided you some slides with students in the field that were actually jacketing the fossils, and they will take the fossil and cover it in aluminum foil, but we carry everything to the field. Like I think that day we were at least 3 miles from the trucks. Okay. So we had to carry the water, the plaster, everything to the field. And that's already been pedestaled underneath so that we can break that fossil off whenever it's finished and has to be carried out of the field. And that it's not a vacation, even though Andrew thinks it is field work for the week.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
A lot of fun work.
It is.
So what if you find one and you get started excavating around it, but then you run out of time and you don't get to take it with you? Does the next group get it, or what?
So one year I was very honored. We found a big hill of fossils, and it ended up being bigger than 1 meter by 1 meter, which were restricted to that size without getting an extra permit. And we followed the rules. Okay. And they named it Mills Hill. And after me, I was really proud myself, because if you jacket it, you get to name it. And they named it Mills Hill, and so they did get another permit, and we went back and got to, you know, take it. So they do leave it from 1 year. Andrew can tell you he found something last year. He wants to go back.
Last summer I found a rib bone that was buried, and we didn't have enough time for me to start digging it up and extracting it. So we dug a trench around it, poured what we called boot var, which is like another type of glue. Okay. We poured that over top of it to try to keep it safe, and like I said, built a trench around it so whenever it rains, the water doesn't run over it and hopefully doesn't cause it to erode anymore, and then just go back to it. We mark it with a GPS, go back to that same location, and just pretty well hope that it's good enough to be able to dig out the next season.
So when you go to this location that you go to, I mean, they go ahead of time to sort of, I guess, scope the site out, right? So they know you're going to find something where you go, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
So how do you know that that's a good spot? How do they know that's a good spot to go to?
Well, I mean, in the past, there are days you may go all day long and not find anything. So you're not guaranteed to find anything. But I will tell you that my SEMO students are very good at finding fossils, and some of them are better than others. So almost every student always finds something. And just knowing at what sedimentary rock strata to be in. One of the slides you may have seen, my students were actually up at the boundary where the mass extinction occurred. That was the one slide where they're standing up on the butte. Okay. So we know to stay below that level. So they will find dinosaur fossils.
And where we're at, we're in the Hell Creek Formation, which back when there's dinosaurs there was the edge of the warm shallow sea that went through North America. Yeah. It was right on the shore there. So whenever there was flooding, a lot of dinosaurs would get trapped in the flood waters, drown, and then their bodies would be covered in sediment to where they would begin to fossilize. So that area is just a big area that had a lot of them that had good environments to fossilize.
I just think it would be a shame if you went out there and had all those long days and you didn't find anything after the whole week. That would be just a heartbreaker.
I had students last year that started out saying, this is the best experience. If I don't find anything, it'll be fine. Yes. But then by the end of the week, they were like, I want to find something.
You want to find something.
And they all did. They all did find something.
Over the week, you pretty well have a really good chance at least finding something small.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're out of time, but this has been so fascinating, and thanks for bringing along the fossils and
well, thank you for having us.
This has been
Anytime we can highlight what the geoscience students are doing, I'm happy to be here.
We appreciate you both being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Chou to learn more about SEMO's new game development degree. You're watching Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.
Losing the fear of looking foolish comes with age.
Who did you steal him from?
Losing your way in your own home doesn't. Confusion with time and place may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Mom, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Losing the fear of looking foolish comes with age.
Those moves, who did you steal them from?
Losing your way in your own home doesn't. Confusion with time and place may be a sign of
Mom,
Alzheimer's.
are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. SEMO is taking gaming to the next level with its new Bachelor of Science in Game Development, launching in fall of 2025. Ethan Chou is with the Department of Computer Science, and he's here to tell us more about this new degree. Ethan, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So this is a new degree that's coming up this fall. Tell us a little bit about what this degree is going to look like.
Well, the degree for this program is essentially game development is still software development. So
Okay.
it's similar to our software development degrees, which is computer science, but it has a more focus on games. So we have branched out to the art department and English department for other courses inside our degree map here.
Okay.
This includes like creative storytelling, because that's a big part of games, or 3D design, 3D models and art for the assets for a game.
Yeah. And the gaming industry's huge, right?
It's pretty big. It's above $100 billion, but less than $300 billion, somewhere in between. So
Still, when you get into the billions, you're
yeah,
talking
you're
a lot of money.
already in the billions. Yeah.
And this is something that's been in the works for a little while. What sort of sparked this degree to be created?
We had some faculty come over that had worked on a previous program. They're visiting faculty currently,
Yeah.
but they plan to stick around to see this program through. But they are wanting to develop video games. It's a passion of theirs, a passion of mine. We all like to game still. I still game. I still game with my old friends too from
Really?
from 5th grade. So still play with them. So
It really is sort of a community, I mean, within the gaming
Yes.
community. I mean, so you still play with folks from years ago. That bond is still there.
that bond is still there, yeah. We still play games like Sea of Thieves and Darktide and Halo when that comes up, as well as any other new ones. Marvel Rivals being a very popular one nowadays, Overwatch being one we did play before.
Yeah.
So
What are some of the big names that folks who are that are play games may be familiar with?
So they may be familiar with studios such as Activision, Ubisoft, EA in general. There's just so many studios out there. Bethesda's one as well.
And the different studios will do some of the big titles, like, Halo might come to mind, Assassin's Creed might be another.
Yes, those are the ones. Assassin's Creed's a big title. They put one of those out like every other year. It's amazing because those games are massive. They take me over a year to complete, and they put one out every year. So
A lot of writing and a lot of coding, I'm going to guess.
yes, there's a lot. It's a big team. Some of these industries or some of these studios are very large, and others are quite small. There's a recent game that just came out from a small French studio, and it is made by a small group of about 33, I think. Okay,
That's crazy.
and it sold a $500,000 or 500,000 copies on its first day, so quite a big. And then there's also other smaller indie studios too. Everyone's familiar nowadays with Minecraft, right?
Oh, yeah.
Minecraft started out as a project. It was not really a game when it started. And I played Minecraft Alpha, kind of put my age on myself, but and that was in 2010 or 2011, somewhere around there. But it was a project. It was not really a fully developed game. It was started as an indie project. And then it became the monster that it is now, and then now Microsoft owns it. So.
Yeah. What kind of job opportunities are there for graduates who have get this degree?
Graduates will be able to get a job in the game industry. It's always seeking people. The way game industry is set up is similar to like other gig industries like entertainment in general. It's a subset of the entertainment industry after all. But they would work for a studio, maybe work on a project. Once that project finishes, if it's successful, they may continue or they may get moved around. How many sequels are there to Assassin's Creed? I lost count.
Right?
Many. But that is where they might continue to work or move on to other projects. And sometimes studios don't do well, close, and people get shuffled around into other studios. But those skills and those assets are still there. So the job prospects are pretty good for students wanting to move into the gaming industry.
So whenever you get this degree and you learn these different things, a lot of degrees, the more things you know within it, the more things you can do. So if you can only write, does that limit what you can do? Do you need to learn how to write code and design characters and different things to make it all work?
It depends on what you specialize in. Some people think about the entertainment industry for a moment.
Okay.
You have a director who's good, and you have cameramen too that do different jobs, right? Similar structure here, where you might have someone who does programming and other people who are doing storyboarding or decision tree making. Decision trees where you go down a conversation of one path, and then this person's angry, this person's happy, but others, this is inside the game itself. And then other times you need to make plots for that in general. So there's just many different type of roles you can have inside the gaming industry. But if you wanted to specialize in one thing, let's say lighting effects, for example, that would be easy to transfer from one studio to another if it was relevant to the same engine that they use.
Yeah. Are the software tools pretty similar across the different studios?
There are some big ones out there, such as Unity and Unreal Engine and such. They're very specialized to their thing, but they're industry-wide tools. So you learn the industry-wide tool, you have industry-wide skills.
So, like when a movie is going to happen, they sort of, or maybe like a full-length animated feature, they'll storyboard out scenes and characters. Like this general is going to have a big bushy mustache and he's going to be real gruff. So I guess there's designers who figure that stuff out too to go into the game.
Oh,
right?
yes, there's concept artists and conceptualizing what someone or what a game may feel like or be like. That can be a process takes a long time. Some games, recently, we could use Starfield as an example, it took over 10 years to make. It was a passion project from Bethesda. Now, it was released to some mixed reviews, but it was it did take a long time for that one. And you see a lot of elements from other places in that. Now, Bethesda is the one who made Fallout, Skyrim, and Oblivion. Those names are people are familiar with.
Big games, yeah.
Starfield was the NASA punk version of that. It's like a future NASA type of aspect.
Okay.
It is very much influenced by that type of approach, rather than other sci-fi, which may be gritty or even too far for us to comprehend. So,
yeah. So, in the movie industry, there's big theaters that do big things, and there's smaller independent. So there's same with this, right? Big producers and smaller ones, right?
Yes. So a lot of times the studios are taken by. Well, let's start back a step. There are big studios. Okay, those are the ones I mentioned earlier: Ubisoft, Activision, EA.
Right.
All those guys are the big players. They put out massive games every year. They have thousands of employees. So those guys are the big ones. But there's also a lot of smaller independent studios. I have a friend who worked on a game. It was like a corgi game, and that was a pet project of his, and it did really well.
Like the dog corgi.
Yes, like
pet
a Welsh
project,
corgi.
You have to
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But it was something that they were passionate about that they made on their own. And that would be self-published, but there are indie studios also. So some of these smaller games that did well, like the one earlier I mentioned, Claire Obscura, which was a small 33-people studio that made a game that did really well. That was kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
But there are other ones that, do all right for a small studio. And that's a focus as well for many people, is like wanting to do work on something that they are passionate about.
So do people have ideas for games and come in and pitch them to the studios to say, hey, we've got an idea, we've kind of sketched this out, and try to get, like folks go to a publisher with a potential book idea. Does that happen with the gaming industry or not necessarily? Or they do them all in-house pretty much?
I would say, the big words, it depends. But
Yeah.
if they've done all the work, why wouldn't a studio say, yes, well, let's put all this
most of
together?
it, yeah.
But if they're just conceptualizing it and haven't done anything yet, it would probably take some decision making in the background there to probably do that.
So if you're one of the big studios, if you make a game that's been 2 years doing it and it tanks, you can probably weather that. But if you're one of these smaller studios, they probably have to be a little more careful, and because a game that doesn't succeed could really hurt them, right?
And some of this is scaling too. When you are a smaller studio, let's say you're a really small one, you're a dozen people together working. That is, not a huge amount of money you need to make to pay everyone. But if you're also once you get big, and when I say big, you have all these other departments too. You have your advertising departments, and you have to pay for those people as well.
Right.
And so HR departments, a small company may not even have that. Maybe just some people working together. But when you scale things up, you need to make more money. And then you have, you're making money for the corporate overlords of all, but they are doing data-driven decision making on those type of decisions as well.
Yeah. We got about a minute left. So whenever students get these jobs, they're going to go out to the workforce, which we think will be pretty good for them. What kind of demand? What kind of response from our students? Are we going to have a good cohort to start in the fall? Do we think, based on numbers, or do we have any idea yet?
We have some people that transferred over because our majors for all of our CS programs, computer science programs, including cybersecurity and computer information systems, they all start the same way with CS 101, which is Introduction to Programming, and CS 155, Computer Science 1. So all of those can be transferred over, and we have some people that are transferring majors from computer science or cybersecurity into game development now that this program's been announced. So we should have a good group in the fall.
Really, really exciting stuff. Ethan, thanks so much for being here and telling us about this new degree.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. And just a reminder that portions of these conversations will be broadcast on KRCU Public Radio, will also be available online at krcu.org and on the station's YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.